be greeted back from my 2-week leave here in the African bush with one of our absolute favorite and probably one of the most famous leopard characters around the world. Isn't he just absolutely extraordinary? And what a way to start off a live safari experience here in the African bush. My name is Jamie, and the man behind the camera is Jandre, and this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live. And as I said, what an extraordinary way to start off one's from leave. That was basically the salient point, and there was some nice stuff about Sindile. I said some nice words about him. But Jandre, of course, is also back from leave, and he is on camera with me this afternoon. So my name is Jamie, and welcome to a live safari experience right here in the middle of the African bush on Djuma, Arathusa and Cheetah Plains game reserves. I'm speaking very softly because I have heard that young Sindile has been a little on edge of late, and I definitely don't want him to feel as though he's in any way threatened by us or uncomfortable with us. So I know we've found ourselves in a rather awkward position. That's definitely not the best view of him we've ever had, although we keep getting glimpses of an eye every now and again. And the gentle scent of a 2-day-old Impala washing over us in this nice afternoon heat. If you do have any questions that you'd like to send through, you can do that on #SafariLive on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@WildEarth.TV. It was so incredibly kind of Steph to give me this opportunity to come and see Sindile. I was doing rough calculations. I have no idea how much of that you did actually get to hear, but I haven't seen Sindile since he was around in June. The middle of June during our Father's Day TV special, so a very, very special young male leopard. And what a way to be welcomed back into the bush after a 2-week absence. Had the most incredible sighting this morning. I went out on the back of the vehicle with Brent, since it was his birthday. We had elephants in the mist, a beautiful morning, and I always feel this incredible sense of peace and tranquility whenever I return after an extended absence from a place that I consider my home. And thank you very much, James Richard, who has sent through a welcome back message for me and wanted to know how cute the wild dog puppies were. Well, James Richard, it was a vehicle that consisted of Brent's mum, Jerry and myself. And for both Jerry and myself, it was the first time we have ever seen, sorry, we're busy looking at a leopard and talking about wild dogs, but I just have to tell you about this. It's the first time I've ever seen wild dog puppies. I'm trying not to get too excited because he's right there. Oh, angry elephant somewhere. Oh yes, so the first time I've ever seen wild dog puppies this small. This was our first day of leave. We went out with Brent's mother, who lives on a reserve just outside Hoedspruit. These things must have been this big. They were absolutely adorable, and the best part of it was we actually got to see the adult dogs return to the den and regurgitate the food, as they do for both the mother and the pups in the initial stages of their lives. And there was these 7 little ones, and I went back 2 weeks later, just before I came back to Djuma, and went out with Brent's mum again, and these things had grown up so much. And their ears had started to stick up, you know, those giant Mickey Mouse wild dog ears, except for the one that just had the most amazing floppy ear. It was the best experience. This, of course, is also marvelous. I'm a little bit reluctant to move. I'm just going to let him feel nice and comfortable and secure with us, although he seems to be thoroughly distracted by the prospect of lunch. While we do a little bit of maneuvering about and trying to get a slightly clearer view of the marvellous Sindile, let's head over to the equally marvellous Steph, who would like to say a very good afternoon to you all and welcome you to his portion of the Sunset Safari.
Good afternoon, yes, and it is a fantastic afternoon. Thank you very much, Jamie, and also it's good having you back in the driving seat again and back from a holiday. It seemed like you've managed to get over your cold, but we'll fix that with a couple of days of fresh air and early mornings. Now, we've come into this area here. Well, firstly, let me not forget this time to introduce Brian. I forgot to introduce him this morning and he was cross with me. There's Brian and his thumb. And we've come all the way out to Buffelshoek Dam to come and have a look for Mvula. We thought because we haven't seen him for a couple of months, and who knows when we're going to see him again, that it would be a good idea for us to put our heads together with Herbert and see if we can see where he went. And Herbert's been out here literally from lunchtime trying to track him. He's been on his tracks for a while, and then a big herd of elephant chased Mvula around a little bit, and he got chased by some buffalo as well. I've come into the shade of this absolutely giant jackalberry tree on top of this termite mound. Have a look at this guy. To see if perhaps Mvula didn't escape the marauding elephant by jumping into the tree or hiding on top of this termite mound, which he is prone to do, or leopard are prone to do. But no luck. It was never going to be that easy. Not 2 drives in a row. And so we continue our search on Buffelshoek Cutline, and Herbie will continue to follow Mvula's footprints, footprint for footprint, and of course leave us time to go and look for other things in the area. It's been a pretty hot day, not as hot as yesterday for some reason, and even this afternoon there seems to be a bit of cooler air blowing out and off of the mountains. I think it has a lot to do with that very, very misty morning that we had this morning. Plus, it was mostly overcast for the morning, with it burning off at about lunchtime, I think, was when I saw the last cloud sort of burn out. Now what I'm doing is I'm busy scanning the road ahead of us, just at every prominent road and at every prominent game path. And the reason for that is that if he has managed to cross over onto this side of the road, which is into Buffelshoek itself, we of course can't go inside of there, and we'd be better off putting our efforts elsewhere. But it would be nice to update Herbert, and equally as nice to update everybody that does come from Buffelshoek that Mvula's gone in their direction, so that they can start their tracking exercises from a little bit in front of the tracks without having to come all the way here. Alright, no tracks just yet. Alright, and while we carry on trawling through here, I think it would be a good idea to send you back to Jamie. She's managed to reposition herself around Sindile before he disappears as well. Off you go.
As you can see, we have repositioned, and in the great chess game that is live wildlife filming, Sindile has seen our movement and countermanded with a movement of his own, which then placed his head right back behind the tree, as he tucks into what's left of his Impala carcass with considerably more relish than I think I myself might approach that task. Now, I beg your forgiveness for one moment. I just want to chat to Herbert on the Game Drive channel, who's been desperately trying to call me. I'll open it up so that you can hear our conversation as well. Oh, no, never mind. Steph's chatting to Herbert. And we'll leave those two at it to finish off their conversation. So we have a Game Drive channel that we use to communicate the sightings and coordinate our movements. So, as Sindile munches away, of course, the most noticeable thing about the sighting, if of course we could see his head and his neck, would be... Oh boy. It's alright. He definitely is a little bit on edge. Obviously his treks throughout the greater reserve and the greater into the Kruger National Park have left him with a slightly nervous feeling. You can hardly blame him, being the young male leopard. But of course, the first thing that one notices about him in this sighting is the giant collar that sits around his neck. Now, most of our regular viewers will be so familiar with the story so as probably to be sick to death of it, although I doubt that could ever be the case, naturally. But if you will give me some patience, I'm just going to go into it very, very quickly. So the story behind the wonderful young Sindile was that when he was close to a year old, He was left by his mother Shadow, who disappeared off for long, long periods of time. And of course, a young male leopard is only really independent at about 1.5 years, maybe even closer to 2 years old. But Sindile was left to fend for himself, and as it was, he happened upon a dog that had wandered in through from one of the local villages, so a feral dog that had somehow found its way into the reserve, and he caught the dog. It was later confirmed that the dog had rabies, which is, of course, a very, very dangerous disease out here, and something that is transmissible to both animals and humans alike. And as a result, young Sindile was whisked off to the incredibly competent care of a nearby rehabilitation centre, where he was given a series of injections and vaccinations and kept very much away from any contact with human beings. And then, in an extraordinary twist to the tale, he was released back into the wild, close to his, what we would call his natal area, around the 5th of May. We're not quite sure exactly where he was released, but he was released back into this area. Hello, boy. It's also windy today, which is why he's a bit unsettled. And we've been treated to some extraordinary sightings ever since. And for a now 2-year-old leopard, he's been doing the most phenomenal job of readjusting to his life in the wild, hunting for himself, looking after himself, and generally barreling about the Sabi Sands like a small spotted leopard-shaped cannon. From the northern part of the Sabi Sands into the Manyeleti, into Kruger, into the southern part of the Sabi Sands, doing exactly what a young male leopard does best, which is avoid trouble and try and find himself a nice niche where there's no horrible big males to chase him away, and hopefully not too many lions and hyenas either. So to see Sindile back with us once again on Djuma is an absolute pleasure. Hey, gorgeous. And he is beautiful. Isn't he just so handsome? I mean, the bits of him you can see, of course, hidden behind the tree. And we've got to take absolute advantage of these moments, because with young Sindile and his movement patterns, we never know when he's going to disappear, and we never know when he's going to reappear. It could be, it could be months until we next get a sighting like this, or an opportunity like this. I hope that's not the case, but it could well be. So for new viewers, none of our other leopards have those collars around their necks. This is a totally wild leopard. He fends for himself. He is 100% wild. He just happens to be very, very special and unique. He's been fitted with that collar for the purposes of monitoring his progress as an animal released back into the wild after an extended period in, I use the word captivity lightly, but in captivity. Oh, yummy. It's exactly what I felt like for lunch. Don't know about you, Jeandre. And a lovely message coming through from Kat in Tampa. Kat, it's wonderful to be amongst your presence and, of course, all of our other many wonderful viewers. It is so lovely to be back. And Kat has said she absolutely loves Sindile. Oh, how could you not? With those big, innocent blue eyes and that beautiful face of his. And Kat says perhaps someday somebody will write a book about him. I can almost guarantee, Kat, that somebody will write a paper about him, or at least including him as one of the subjects in terms of research. And who knows, between the many guides of... Hello. Gorgeous boy. Oh, I love his eyes. There's the many guides of Wild Earth. Of course, Mr. Hendry is the one with the commitment to writing a full book and publishing them. He's done several. But between all of us, I think one of us might manage to fit him into our memoirs one day. And off he goes. It's blisteringly hot this afternoon. I went away and I came back and summer had arrived. Jeandre, doesn't it feel that way? It's definitely gone from winter to summer, so it's hot for him. And with his full belly, he's going to go and look for some shade. And of course, whilst it is boiling hot, it is also incredibly dry. And Aaron in New Zealand, it's lovely to have you on board, as always. Do we have a prediction date for the next big rains? I think we should get a bet going. That's a measly portion, Sindile. Shame, boy. Not much left of your carcass. Oh, shame he's trying to cover it up, hide the scent away from the hyenas. So apparently there is a conversation about when the biggest rains will be. What counts as big, by the way? Are we talking 5 plus? Are we talking 10 plus? 15 plus? 20 plus? Okay, 20 plus. Alright, so it's over 20 mils, and we need a prediction date. Jandre, would you like to give it a go?
I've already got quite a bet going that they're not coming.
Okay, so Jandre says not at all. Oh goodness, that's it. Well, they have to at some point.
Yeah,
It might just be, yes, October 2017, which of course we certainly hope is not the case. So Brian and Dave are on the early bird boat, which is of course what we are hoping for. Although I have to admit September would be, that would be very early for a big rain. My guess would be I'm hoping for some time in October. We are, of course, for new viewers, we're in a crippling drought at the moment, which is great for leopards like Sindile. He is sitting pretty at the moment, or at least all of our predators are sitting pretty. But as you can see, as he sits there and munches away on his measly morsel, there's not much around in terms of vegetation cover. Now, typically, we're going into our rainy season now. We usually get our big rains around the end of October, beginning of November. All right, I'll stop prevaricating and I will give you a date, and I will say the 23rd of October. I have absolutely no idea why I said that, but there you go. There is no rhyme, reason, nor science behind that. In fact, I'm not even sure it was an educated guess, but for some reason, the number 23 jumped out at me, so I'm going to say the 23rd of October. So there we go. Let us see which of us is going to be correct in our guesses. Oh, goodness, Lou. You and I are on the same page. Lou has betted the 24th of October. Will be when we get our big rains. Sure.
The 18th.
Okay, Chandra is taking the 18th. He's decided to brush aside his... Oh, that's what Sindile thinks of your prediction, Chandra. Oh. Hairball. Oh. Are we going to vomit or eat some more? Eat some more. Okay, fair enough. I often find myself in that predicament. And for those of you who are concerned about that collar, Harry Camacho has come through. I know this has been passed on, but for those of you who perhaps missed that update, Harry Camacho has come and had a look. He said that collar is still fine, and that it will drop off when it does get to the point of being too tight. But for now, it isn't. Although it looks uncomfortable, it isn't in any way sort of pushing on his neck or anything like that. It is a strange thing to see, though, on a wild animal, I must say. I value it for the research and the information that it provides in the future, that it provides for different cases like Sindile's, but I would prefer to see him without it, of course. Okay, so the 18th of October, Jandre. We shall wait and see. And on that note, waiting and seeing, let us go and find out, let us no longer wait, let us go and find out what is happening with Steph and his search for Mvula. Ooh, hold on. He's seen something, just hold on 1 second. Something gave him a fright. I think he's just nervous. He might have had a few encounters with hyenas last night, because his carcass was on the ground. So it might just be on a breezy afternoon he's heard something coming. Nah, he's relaxed again. Okay. He's going to go and find himself a nice shady patch, and I think we'll try and stick with him and see where he goes. If Sindile does decide to move off, just to finish off quickly, if he decides to move into this block, because of... Oh, I think he's fine. I think it's safe to say that all is well. Thank goodness Brent left me with some vials to collect some leopard scat. Right, so while young Sindile completes his ablutions in peace, let's go and find out from Steph how his search for Mvula's going.
Not too well for now, but that doesn't mean much. Mvula is a cat with a reputation for walking incredible distances, and especially walking during the day. And today hasn't been that cold, or that warm at least anyway, and so I would expect there to be a little bit of a challenge in finding him, and that there is. So his tracks go towards Buffelshoek cut line from Buffelshoek Dam, and then turn in a big loop and walk east And that is just so typical of a leopard, to sort of confound the spoor. But you don't know what it was for. There could have been something coming down the path. It could have been an elephant or some buffalo. Any number of different things could change the pathway that a leopard would take. So what we've done is sort of hopscotched in front of the line of his tracks a little bit to see if we can pick up any sign of him. And it's always a good idea when you're tracking leopard to switch off your car and just listen to the bush around you. Very often we miss markers, monkeys calling, various animals giving alarm calls, and you'll drive straight past the leopard without even seeing it because of this. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to drive into this area ahead of his tracks and then switch off and listen. So RJ, you've just asked me a question to say that, well, firstly, let me just say hello. And secondly, you've just asked me a question saying that almost all of the cheetah and the leopard that you see walk around on their own, and you'd like to know why they aren't in packs. RJ, the simple answer is that most cats are solitary, and that with the only exception being lion, they will almost always walk around on their own. Most cats rely on a stalking, pouncing method of catching their food, and that requires great stealth, and that's very difficult to do when you are many animals together. Now, although lions do employ the same sort of tactic, the stalk and pounce method, quite often the prey that they hunt is far, far bigger than what they are. In some cases, buffalo for instance, you're looking at 4 times the weight of a big male lion. That's where buffalo, a pretty big bull buffalo comes in at. Giraffe, double that again. Elephant, 6 times, 8 times that again. So lions need to break down their hunting into many, so that once something is caught, that they can all help to bring it down, and therefore all benefit from the kill. So with the exception of lion, all cats are solitary hunters. Animals that do hunt in a pack, outside of the cats of course, are the African wild dog or the painted wolf, the hyena. They are also pack hunters, although a great deal of hunting in the Kruger National Park happens solitary or in pairs. Hyena are very prone to forming quite large packs, up to 50 plus individuals, and even they are capable then of pulling down buffalo. And I haven't heard of them pulling down elephant. Baby elephant, yes. Hippopotamus, yes, but not elephant, not hyena, I think. Not full grown, at least, anyway. That is almost exclusively to lion. So I hope that answered your question, RJ. Oh, the sky is just this most beautiful color, and I think that is exactly going to give us the reason to switch off and just enjoy this blue of the sky. What you're seeing over there, that blue is 100% what I'm seeing, and I'm looking at on the monitor that I have in front of me here, and I'm comparing the two, looking up and then looking at the screen, and it's identical. Just have a look at that. Not a cloud in the sky after this morning being so misty we couldn't even see the front of our bonnet. And you can just see those skeletal figures of those trees. These particular ones are not being affected by drought. Those particular ones are dead because of being ring-barked by elephant. And then we're moving across to some knobthorn acacia. And then there in the distance, that green bush is a guari, a euclea, one of the evergreens here. Very tough, leathery leaf, full of tannins, not very digestible at all. So only under dire circumstances will elephant eat it, and you can see that there's a lot of it around here. They, of course, produce a berry that is quite edible, and in January, February, March, and April, hardly a bush here gets bypassed without a handful of berries being plucked off of it and shoved into our mouths and into our pockets. Very handy fire beater as well, just by the way. Let me go and see if I can get you a branch and show you what I mean by a fire beater. Fires here, of course, are fairly common things, and we quite often will use these. Just pick you a nice one. Something slightly bigger than this. I'd go in and get a big branch. And fires being fairly common out here, how you combat a wildfire out here is by putting in a backburn. If any of you have ever seen how they burn sugarcane, or sugarcane is probably about the best way that I can describe it. So wildfire is coming towards you, blowing with the wind, uncontrolled, very, very dangerous. You go to a road or a fire break and you put in a backburn that burns into the wind and towards the fire. What it does is it creates this gap of burnt land that the fire will be able to find no food in. And so the two fires join with one another, they form this massive conflagration and will eventually just put each other out. And how you put in the backburn is from a road. So say now my finger was a road, if the fire was coming this way, you'd put the fire in here and you'd burn it. But of course the wind will be blowing in your face, and you need beaters to stop any bits and pieces of flame that come across from your backburn, as we call it. And you need a beater to put it out. And we use guaris for that. And you can see I can bash this as hard as I want and the leaves don't come off. So you can see what a good fire beater that would make. And while I'm bashing it, I'm thinking it might even make a very good fly swatter as well, considering I get plagued by the little insects. I almost said something else there for a second. All right. So that stop gave us not only a nice demonstration on the fire beating properties of the Euclea divinorum, but also gave us a chance to listen to the bush around us, to hear for any warning calls of Mvula's passage. None was forthcoming, and so onward we go with our search. And why don't you go back to Jamie, because it's much nicer there.
It is lovely here, although having enjoyed the pleasure of Steph's company, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's much nicer here. However, I've just realised that I'm a complete and utter silly person, because of course it wasn't the last time that I saw Sindile on the Father's Day show, because as Kirsty was updating us about the Steph's search for Mvula, I realised the last time I saw Sindile was with Mvula, sharing that Impala carcass not far from where we are now at all. So my apologies for that. I don't know how I managed to... I didn't so much erase that from my memory as just simply got my timelines mixed up. But nevertheless, as you can see, while you were with Steph, Sindile finished the sort of end parts of his digestive process of the Impala, and we shall be heading back to where he deposited that scat on the ground at some point. Not right now, and I'll explain why. The one thing I have noticed, one thing we know for certain with Sindile, I've accidentally walked him twice now, that since he's been released back onto the reserve, and he is not at all comfortable with people on foot. He's running away at 150 meters. So if I were to go now to where he deposited that scat and try and collect it, we would find ourselves with a very missing leopard. In fact, we find ourselves with no leopard at all. Luckily, Brent, when he cleared out the car, left me with several lovely gifts. One was the leopard vial, the leopard scat vial, with its preservative silicone beads, sorry, you know, all the same basically. And into this I shall scrape and deposit a Sindile's scat, and this will be shipped off to a company called Panthera. So we're going to write down all of his details on the little piece of paper that's tucked away in there, and off it will go to Panthera to be included as part of the genetic studies of the various cats, or at least in leopard terms, particularly focusing on the paternity of our various leopards, so who the father is, because that, of course, is one of the great unsolved mysteries of the leopard world. Which male leopards father which cubs, and is it possible to have two cubs of the same litter fathered by different fathers? So that's the whole plan, but of course I can't do that right now. I know that we did collect Sindile's scat at some point, but I quite simply cannot resist the compunction to go and pile some more scat into a tube, And it's not just that, it's also the fact that the more scat samples we get, the better in terms of the accuracy of the study that they're going to perform. So whilst we may not see results of the study for a considerable period of time, at some point the much debated question, who is Sindile's daddy, will be answered by genetic testing. Could it be Tingana, the dominant male leopard, and the high sort of, I think, most people's favourite suspect? Or is it the Anderson male, or is it Mvula, who, of course, Steph has been searching for? And whilst he's been on the search of Mvula, he has found something else, something feathered and bright purple.
And you know, you please don't ever tell Brent this, but we'll keep his bird list going by showing you these weird and wonderful birds that he sees. We'll let him feel that it's being ignored while he isn't here. But this is a fine example of a purple roller, just with that achingly beautiful blue sky behind him. I know it's a purple roller because it doesn't have that distinctive lilac chest or lilac breast that the lilac-breasted roller has. It is very large, probably another 20 or 30% bigger than the lilac-breasted roller, and then of course those very bold white striations down its chest. And have a look at that crest that he's just erected. That is uncommon. In actual fact, I've only ever seen that crest erected once or twice ever. I just need to... Oh no, don't worry. Have a look at the purple tail. These particular rollers have a much deeper... Oh. All right. I was just about to say that the purple roller has a much deeper purple color, but I wasn't afforded the chance to show you, but that'll give me the time to rip out my book and show you. This is mostly how we show you the purple roller, because they normally always do what they've just done now. So let's go here. So what I wanted to show you was this deep purple on the tail. This here is what I wanted to show you. And they have a deep purple on their wing as well. But have a look at that. Isn't that just...
Our sincerest apologies for the attack of the gremlins that appears to have happened this afternoon. Personally, I blame Gendre. I feel as though...
Thanks, Jamie.
It's a pleasure, Gendre. It's either Gendre or Jerry, both of whom, of course, arrived back before the afternoon drive. It's not me, because the gremlins did not attack this morning, as far as I know. So it was absolutely fine this morning, therefore it's not me, and the only other logical explanation is that Gendre or Geraldine brought it back with them. I did see Mr. Hendry driving back in with Dave and Peter Braat. Oh, and Ian, actually. Ian's here as well, so it could be any of those suspects, but it's not me. I am innocent. It is a day of many newcomers and many people disappearing. We've had quite the changeover of staff. Anyway, Sindile is completely unfazed by our problematic moments with the gremlins, and as you can see, he is snoozing quite peacefully on his termite mound. He's perfectly relaxed, but he is restless, and he is keeping a close eye on us, so we're going to settle with our lovely view of him from here for now, and we'll just let him have as much space as he needs. He does look like, though, he's got the best spot this afternoon, which of course a leopard is very good at, but he's found himself a really nice shady patch in the shelter of that termite mound. While our lovely leopard snoozes away his full belly in the shade from the afternoon sun, let's go and find out what reptilian species Steph has managed to find.
See if you can guess what that is just from the tip of the tail. It's saying hello to us for the first time after being asleep for many, many weeks. Have a look at that. One of our dragons. Look at those claws, body, just sunning himself. A beautiful white-throated monitor. Just come out of a slumber, warming up. Spent a winter in, not in a type of hibernation, but in a much reduced state of consciousness, almost unconscious. And he's now just climbed out in this late afternoon to metabolize a little bit of the energy that he would have stored up last year. And just have a look at his tail, the base of his tail, and his back was where he would have stored all the fat. And you can see how skinny that tail is. You can see how it's got this dip. That is where the fat reserves were being built up. And by the end of summer, hopefully he'll have a nice fat tail again and a nice broad back. You can see that skin line there. He can fill that entire fold of skin, literally, and needs to in the days of summer. And he will do that overpowering and eating absolutely anything they can, from snakes to birds, eggs, insects, termites. If they were a little bit bigger, humans, Land Rovers, small buildings, fire engines, and Boeing 747s. I'm sure these guys think they can tackle it all. And they do so by running after their prey, overpowering it with just sheer strength and bite force and those massive claws. Just had enough holding on with his fingernails and is now just climbing up onto a branch, probably just to rest out a little bit. Yeah, his face is he's peering over the edge. Look at that tongue. Testing everything with that tongue. Tongue is very long, quite sticky and forked. And the reason why it's forked is in the roof of this lizard's mouth, basically underneath that white spot that you have, that he has just by his eye, are two pits. And so the tongue comes out, waves in the air, picks up scent particles, will then go back into the mouth, and then he flicks it forward, and the two tips of his tongue then go into the holes in the roof of his mouth, and he wipes off the glands in a pit that's jam-packed with sensory organelle. He's now going back into his hibernation hole, where he came from. You'll see him disappear in there now, being very careful. He doesn't want to fall. Using those very viciously hooked claws. And let's see if he goes in there. Just an absolutely fantastic sighting of this white-throated monitor. You can have a look at their hands, his 4 legs, 4 claws. You can see those claws that are very long. Exceptional sense of smell, can smell rot. He's not outside of the possibilities of scavenging off a carcass, using sense of smell and his eyesight to catch and locate prey. Very, very strong animals. You can pick them up. He's a large animal. He's Africa's third, let's say, he's the second largest lizard, because the water monitor gets slightly longer, and one of the world's largest lizards, with the Komodo dragon being the world's largest at probably 3 to 4 times his length and easily, I don't know, 50 times his size. The Komodo dragons are just something else entirely. That camouflage, resting up against the tree. Wow, Expat, you've just sent through a comment saying you watched one on the Djuma cam once digging up terrapin eggs. That's fantastic. I've never seen anything like it. I know they do eat eggs. They've got a big fondness for eggs, but having seen that and witnessed that, that's very special. Never in all the thousands of hours I've been out in the bush have I been lucky enough to see that. So hope that's one for the memory banks. Oh, he's just fantastic. Beard, you've just asked me how many species, well firstly hello, and secondly you just asked me how many species of monitor lizard we have in the country. We've got 2. We've got the water monitor, or the Nile monitor as it's sometimes called, and then we've got the rock monitor, or the white-throated monitor as this one is called. Those are the only 2 that we have in the country, with this one being the more terrestrial one and the rock monitor being the more amphibious one. You find these monitor lizards all over the bushveld. They're a fairly common bushveld lizard. You don't always see them, but they are fairly common bushveld lizard. And this fair, see if he's oh, you can just see his claws there on his back foot holding on there. Hey, look at that claw just holding on. One of the favorite foods of a martial eagle is this guy, and there's lots of footage on YouTube where the teeth and claws of these monitor lizards are pitted against the bills and claws of the martial eagle, and you can go and have a look at how many titanic battles between these dragons and martial eagles have been filmed over the years. I've seen a martial eagle be dragged across a road by one of these guys before. Incredibly strong. That's his ear hole that you can see there behind his eye. Fairly large with no external ear flaps. Definitely no family of mine then. And just once again, I just have to remark on those 5-fingered claws, just wickedly tipped with those claws. Just a fantastic sighting of this monitor lizard. Really has to be one of the best sightings. Kathy, you're absolutely right. I'm also going to join you in that statement. You've just said that you're going to enjoy spring with all these creatures that arrive, and that is 100% why I enjoy summer so much. It's just the diversity here is just so fantastic. You got from these dragons all the way through to the most minute, interesting insect. And all the flowers and all the birds come back, and all the vibrancy in the plants. The clouds that build up in the sky. I really am looking forward to summer again, I must be honest with you. But then, you know, when we're in summer and we're battling with the heat and you've sweated for 4 weeks non-stop, then you also miss these massive blue skies and the chillier weather. Let's see if we can go forward a little bit. I suppose that's just the nature of humans, never to be completely satisfied, hey? Now, we're not particularly sneaky in a 2-ton Land Rover, but let's just see what we can get right here. Let's see if we can show you his nest. RJ, you've just asked me if these lizards shed like snakes. They absolutely do. They are cold-blooded, and they will outgrow their old skin and shed it off. It doesn't come off quite as neatly as a snake. They slough it off and then they rub it. Have a look at his, obviously very comfortable with us now. That blunt nose, another diagnostic feature of this particular species. And those scales all over his body. If we're very careful, we might even be able to see a parasite or two. Have a look at that eye. Oh, and he's got an injury on his head and missing some scales. You can actually see us in his eyeball. That pair of white shorts that you're looking at is on Bebop's legs. And you can even see our aerial. That is amazing. He's had enough of being the point of discussion at the moment. He's going back around to the other side of the tree. That's the hole he came out of. Look at those claws there. Turning around. So Dina, you said that you don't really know anything about monitor lizards, and please excuse me, I haven't furnished anything except the most common. They do have the Komodo dragons have a venomous saliva. The rock monitors do not, but they've got an incredibly hard bite. They overpower their prey, which includes anything. Anything that they can catch and kill, they will do so. They use their claws, which you can see there. I mean, that is just something out of a horror movie, to grab and dig with. They don't kill with their claws, they just hold tight, and then the power comes from the bite, and then they shake the prey with their head. They'll thrash it from side to side, usually dismembering whatever they've got, swallowing it whole. They will eat near anything. They mate once a year. They lay eggs in in the sides of termite mounds or at the bases of trees, and those eggs incubate for an entire year, and then they hatch with the first spring rains. As the rains soften the soil and the length of day is longer, they will come out and will immediately begin hunting. No parental care whatsoever once this female or male has done their job of laying eggs I've forgotten the word now. Made the lady lizard pregnant. Jeez, my brain is being fried by the sun over here, and I've lost my ability to communicate in the English language. You can see that the gape is fairly wide, got quite a wide opening mouth, and no fangs, just the serrated teeth. He's heard something, seen something. Let's see if it's not a martial eagle. No, not a martial eagle. He would be very wary of being caught in the open. I have seen leopard catch and kill these monitor lizards. I haven't seen lion do it. In actual fact, Mvula was the last leopard I saw catch one of these monitor lizards last season. Other than that, they really are dragons. I mean, if you were the size of a mouse or a rat and this dragon came upon you, there is much to be feared. Look at that ant he's allowed crawling on his head. Oh. Let's see if we can spot any parasites in his ear opening. Yes, there's one or two ticks in there, I can see. Am I wrong? Is it just because I want to see it? Look at all those scales as well. Just massive scales. Gee whiz. This is the closest I've ever been to a monitor lizard. It is an incredible sighting. There's his nose. Very acute sense of smell, but he'd use his tongue. And look at those claws. Oh, imagine this thing was the size of a Nile crocodile. Wouldn't be that many humans on the planet, that's for sure. And those very powerful forelegs, they use their legs for digging primarily, and the muscle fibers that you have inside inside reptiles are much more densely packed than what mammalian muscle fibers are, and so it gives them an incredibly hard or incredibly powerful ability. Their musculature is incredibly powerful. There's his back legs stretched out there to his pelvis and then his tail. He's skinny. You can see how much skin he's actually got. And then they've got this short stubby tail as well, not a very long one, with those keeled scales. That's what when we're talking about a snake that can climb a tree easily, and we talk about keeled scales, that is a keeled scale that you're looking at on the tail there. His back leg is stretched out, hooking on the branch with the claws, and then look at all those wrinkles that he's got in his belly and his back. There on the tummy. That's to facilitate growth. So they can bolt food down, and really they can do a lot of food in one sitting, easily devour a complete clutch of eggs. Let's see where he goes up the tree now. See if his tongue comes out again. They got the most unbelievable tongue. Very, very, very nice. Now, you asked if it was dangerous to humans. It's not really dangerous to humans, although they can curl their tail, and I've had one lash out at me before. They curl their tail in a characteristic S, and they whip it out at you, and it can knock you. I mean, it's not that sore, to be honest. It just gives you more of a fright. And then they can use their claws to rake you if you catch one, and then they bite as well. They've got a very, very strong bite. I have a fond memory of sticking a stick into a hole that had one in, and he bit the end of the stick, and I couldn't even turn or rotate the stick. Can you believe it? A bite there that'll easily take off your finger or do you some damage, at least at all. Do we utilize them in any way? Absolutely. They have been used as food for people. You can eat their flesh. It tastes a bit like chicken, but then I think anything tastes like chicken if you don't want to really think about it. But it is a white, fatty meat. And just have a look at that. Farah, you're 100% right. These close-ups on this new camera that we've got is just unbelievable. We were just commenting on it now. The amount of things that we can show you with this particular camera is just wonderful. I have to say thank you to everybody that helped make the purchase of this possible. It's just opening up such a massive new world to everyone. Have a look at the way his scales behind his head are very different to the scales on top of his head. I have no idea why. I don't see enough of these guys or know enough about herpetology to actually tell you anything more than I have, really. Oh, I do know that they've got a pineal eye, that I can tell you. Most reptiles, especially ones this large, have got a third eye. It's located in the top of the head. There's an indent just at the back of his skull. Let's see if he'll allow us to see it again, giving us the stare over his shoulder. You'll see on top of his skull there's a slight indent. That is a very thin portion of the skull, and there's just below the skin, through a very thin piece of bone, there's a third eye that is light sensitive, and they use that third eye to judge light intensity and length of day. So it can actually see. Not well, I mean it doesn't see patterns or anything like that, but lizards have got a third eye in the middle of their head. I just found that a fantastic fact. So pineal eye that the monitor has used to judge light intensity and length of day. He's just tolerating us here. They're very good swimmers. They use their tail. You can see his tail's actually flattened dorso-ventrally, which means that it's squashed on the side. You'll see there it's round, but as you go up to the swimming part of it, it becomes squashed top to bottom, well, squashed in the sides, and they'll swish that from side to side. They swim incredibly well. There's all the fatty deposits. That's where it was stored, and in his back, just in front of his hip, there is where he stores lots of fat over the course of the summer, feeding pretty much non-stop. They're cold-blooded, so they operate within a range of temperatures. Too hot, they die. Too cold, they die. Just right, although they don't have a set body temperature like we do. We've got a set body temperature of 37 degrees centigrade. 2 degrees up, we run the risk of overheat and dying, and 2 degrees down, and we also risk the same. Most reptiles can do a couple of dozen degrees, 10 degrees or so, up or down. Just have a look at the ease. He's just scaling this marula tree vertically. Very camouflaged against the bark. As I said, the martial eagle is his main predator, and then also honey badger will also catch and eat him. I'd love to see a fight between a honey badger and a large monitor. I mean, if he can give a martial eagle a run for his money, imagine what a honey badger is going to... Both of them being probably the most stubborn of all African carnivores. This one and a honey badger. Just look at now, we've got such a view of that forearm on the right hand side. Just have a look at all that muscle holding that hand together. He'd give Popeye a run for his money with those huge forearms. Well, Popeye forearm. I don't even know if those cartoons play anymore. Alright, so I think we're going to leave this guy alone. What we don't want to do is overstay our welcome here. No matter how much we try, we do have an effect on these animals, and I think what we'll do is leave him in peace, let him get back to the sunny side of the tree and do whatever he was going to do. Let me roll gently forward before I start the car and scare him. There we go. Brian, you just asked me when the tortoise is going to come out of hibernation. Soon. as soon as there's enough food to eat. So tortoises are in hibernation because they need grass to eat, they need plants to eat, and they need water. And they'll stay in hibernation until those three things happen. And I don't think we're going to see very many tortoises this month, although this month is ended. We'll probably see tortoises towards the end of September, beginning of November again, with the most tortoises coming out in proper summertime. So from the 1st of November to the 1st of April is when we see most of our tortoises out here. Let's see what this yellow-billed hornbill is going to do to this patch of elephant dung. They've been so comical lately with their lifting up of dung and feeding on termites, and this one is exactly not disappointing us, picking up termites furiously. Just have a look at that. Now, why is picking them up so furiously? It's because the termites will be hastily retreating underground even as we speak. And for him to get the most benefit for having flown all the way down here and then used his massive chisel beak to lift up the piece of elephant dung, he will need to feed on them all and as much as he can before they all disappear. And that is exactly why he's so furiously picking up all of those termites. And the termites obviously using the elephant dung for its source of moisture and also the wood. Just have a look at that. Southern yellow-billed hornbill, that is what we're looking at right here, and from the looks of things a male with that red throat patch under the beak. And a full-grown male as well. One of my favorite birds, always busy doing something, very industrious, and comes from literally one of the most successful bird families that we have out here, the hornbills. From thick jungle all the way onto nearly the sand deserts in Namibia. And he's using the very tip of his beak there. Oh, just look at that. Good looking bird, wide stance. A friend of mine once brought one up that was missing a wing, and this bird used to run riot in her house. And then using his one wing and his little stump that he had left of his other wing, he used to climb right to the top of the tallest tree in her garden and sit there the whole day and make noises and jump from branch to branch and then come back down and then absolutely ruin her house. Every single bit in her house, every inch of her house was inspected every day, even though he had a bowl full of food presented to him by basically my entire guiding staff would catch grasshoppers on the soccer field all day and bring it to this hornbill. He all had a soft spot for this little guy. He eventually just walked off into the bush, had enough. The way he uses his beak. Now, from a nutrition point of view, insect protein is about 3 times more or higher in protein than what mammal protein is. Maybe calories, I don't know what I want to say there, but it's give you a ratio. 100 grams of termites is equal to 300 grams of beef. So this hornbill being able to feed and have the strength to pick apart this bolus of elephant dung is giving himself the absolute advantage. He's not flying around, he's not flapping, he's not using those giant chest muscles to get himself into the air. He's just using his brain and his curiosity and the tool, a massive crowbar on his face. And you can see, when everything else out here is drab and looking shoddy, these guys are still in tip-top condition. Paul, I agree with you. It is pretty amazing that he can pick up tiny termites with that huge beak. But if you have a careful look, not easy to see with the view we have now, but you'll see that his eyes are actually binocular, meaning that they are slightly pointed forward. He's got a good peripheral vision, much like a chicken would, I suppose, but his eyes do point slightly forward so he can judge depth. And he's actually picking up the termites with the very tip of his beak and then throwing them into his mouth. And he's doing that because he can see the very tip of his beak, and he can see it in 3 dimensions. So he knows it's like your finger picking up something small. He can see it, he can judge distance, and he can accurately aim and place his beak where it needs to be. What's fascinating for me is the speed at which he's doing it. I don't know how he's selecting another target. He's picking them up so quickly. Maybe he's just randomly pecking, but I doubt it. Seems like I'm never going to get rid of this particular one. UK expat, you've just asked me if I had any ill effects from drinking the juice I squeezed out of a fresh elephant dung. No, I didn't actually. Apart from this lingering taste of elephant dung juice on my lips, my beard, and on my gums, I suppose. I'm just remembering it now, fondly licking my teeth, which taste like sun cream and toothpaste now, and not like elephant dung. But no, I didn't even have a tummy rumble, not even one, which is a bit worrisome. But goes to show that it couldn't have been too bad for me. I don't think I'd like a cup of freshly squeezed elephant dung every day with my breakfast, to be quite honest with you. It had a slight sort of oily texture to it. But would I do it again? Absolutely. Would I do it in a survival situation for others? Without a doubt. Did it work? Yeah. It was the only surface water that we had around us, and I got a good half a snail shell out of one bolus. If I had squeezed all of the dung there, I would have gotten easily 2 cups of water out of that one elephant dung. With the benefit of having all those nutrients, probably some vitamin rocket ship into my system. Well, I'd like to tell myself that at least anyway. This guy is just going at it, and I don't want to disturb the poor guy, but I mean, he's going to be so heavy he won't be able to fly. He's going to sleep right here next to the elephant dung soon. Amazing. There's no other birds that have come to join him, which is bizarre. Usually when one bird finds a food source like this, other birds quickly follow, and the fact that he hasn't been chased off here by a bigger hornbill, or been joined by a bunch of juvenile hornbills, or for that matter of fact by any other bird out here that loves termites, is just incredible. Testimony to how hot it actually is, to be honest. Mr. R. Beard, you said you still have ill effects just thinking about me drinking that elephant dung. The only thing I can say is sorry. And when you get here, please feel free to try a cup for yourself and see if the anticipation of it is worse than the actual event. Just look at that beak that he's got. He's actually got some cracks. It's a full-grown hornbill, this, and you probably find that he's learnt over the last couple of years exactly what works for him. It's very good. See that wide stance? That is just so typically yellow-billed hornbill, standing with their legs almost too wide open. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Now these guys have another interesting trait. The females, well, together the pair will select a hole in a tree, a suitable hole or cavity in a tree. The female then goes into the hole and pulls out most of her primary feathers to line the nest. What happens then is that the male and the female, using a mixture of mud and her own feces, will then, and discarded insect husks and whatever else they can find, will plaster up the entrance to that nest, leaving just a gap for her beak. He then spends the remainder of the time between then and when the last chick emerges, ferrying food to her and the brood. And once the babies hatch, not all the eggs hatch at the same time because they're not all laid at the same time. They're laid maybe a day or two apart. And what will happen is he keeps on fetching and carrying food, while the female... Oh, there he goes. He's had enough. Good for you. He's probably food drunk by now, wiping his beak clean. Still hungry. Insane. He fetches and carries food basically to the hole. Babies, the youngsters, keep on building the nest up. The fledged chicks keep on breaking it down. And then finally, the final straw is when mom's primary feathers have grown back. She then breaks open the nest and the family emerges. Seems to be quite successful because there's a lot of hornbills around here, to be honest with you. But if the male dies or gets caught, the entire family dies. That is the downside of that particular breeding strategy. Just look at this guy. He's now flicked away a buffalo dung. And I can actually see the termites running for their lives. You can see it on the ground in front of him. Just have a look at them scurrying for their lives. And he is just bashing his face at them. Just look at them go. No wonder he's in such a frenzy. They're also in a frenzy. Wow, what a dinner this guy is getting. I wonder if he does this every day. Do you think he needs to have a varied diet? I would imagine he does it every day. Do you think these termites are fighting back in his crop? That's amazing. What a absolutely fantastic sighting of this hornbill, just on the back of a fantastic sighting with a white-throated monitor. This has been an incredible stretch of road for us this afternoon. But we have left Jamie out of the picture for a little bit, and as far as I know, she's back on the road again with Genre, and I'm sure has a plan going forward, which she'd like to tell you. So we'll catch up in a little bit. See you later.
I do indeed have a really exciting plan that I would like to share with you. There is a reason that I have left young Sindile. First, well, there's two actually. The first is that there are other vehicles that would like to come and see him. The second is that wonderful Herbert has done it once again, as have the lovely Nkuhumas. And I've just got a report that he has tracked down the Nkuhumas who have at some point during the day, between morning and afternoon, killed a buffalo in the middle of the block. Now we're just sort of making our way slowly but surely meandering. I might even stop to have a look at these lovely Impala while we wait, because we're just waiting for our chance to go into that sighting. And I just couldn't resist going back to see how much those Nkuhuma cubs have grown. I'm so excited to go and see them. Genre, are you excited? Yes. How could one not be? We do have a lovely Impala herd here at the Pumped Pan at WildEarthTV Dam. Now just bear with me, I need to just listen to the game drive comms, and these two are having a bit of a box, hopefully, and keep us distracted so I can listen, because it sounds as though it's a very difficult sighting to get into. So I just, oh, look at that! Dust clouds flying, wow! The clash of their horns, this is incredible! Ah, and the victor. Oh, and it has sparked off a riot of male Impala, making their peculiar rutting sounds and chasing each other. Round and round, dust clouds flying. I don't want to be the one to tell them that mating season's over and this is all for nothing, but they seem to be keeping each other so thoroughly entertained. The funniest part of that whole sighting, which only I could see, was while they're making that very peculiar grunting sounds that seem so very incongruous to such a gorgeous, dainty antelope, there was one young male with sort of tiny pointy horns that decided he was going to join in, and then got terrified and ran away. And just like that, it's over. Peace returns to the world of the Impala rams. That we've just come out of their breeding season. In fact, I say just, it's been a few months since we've come out of their breeding season. Around May, June, we get that all the time. The males constantly sparring, fighting each other, often with some serious injuries as a result. But now they're just letting off a little bit of steam, I think, enjoying a nice afternoon battle, and so terribly atmospheric with the sun sort of billowing in the reflection of the dust. I just want to see something. Let's just have a look at this impala on the right here, this ram on the right. He is absolutely covered in oxpeckers. Now, generally, because they move about in groups, those birds that are busy picking off the ectoparasites, or the ticks, on his fur, they might all be part of the same family of oxpeckers. But sometimes you find when you have an ill antelope, they have a higher tick count than normal. Whether it's injured or something's wrong with it, it's not quite fully healthy. He looks fine to me, though. And sometimes you see more oxpeckers gathered on that particular animal than others. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, one on each leg, 10. That's a lot of oxpeckers for one small antelope. Oh, there's even more on the other side. My goodness. That might be a record for the number of oxpeckers I've seen on an impala before. Lots and lots of them, riding on their host's back and enjoying whatever external parasites he's managed to pick up. I don't think he's ill. He looks fine to me. He's in perfectly good condition. It might just be that that's just one family of oxpeckers. They are cooperative breeders, so the offspring of one generation will stick around and help their parents with the next generation of offspring. But he certainly does seem to be doing the lift club. It's his turn to host the oxpeckers. Now, as soon as I have a moment, I would like to chat on the Game Drive channel, but that's proving to be relatively difficult. So what we'll do is we'll just start making our way in the direction of those lions. And the reason I'm contorting myself like a mad person is going to be impossible for Gendre. Sorry, Gendre. I wondered why the lapwings were... He's right over our heads. Wait, come back. Come back. It's one of my favourite raptor species, and I haven't seen them since I left. And it's a Harrier hawk, and it's being thoroughly inconvenient. Come here. Oh, poor Gendre, I'm making his life so difficult. But there we go. Well done, Gendre. Everybody across the world, a round of applause for Gendre, who managed to get the Harrier hawk on camera, which was not easy, because he was right above us. So bravo, Gendre. And I've heard some incredible stories. Brent, of course, keeps me updated as to the goings-on whenever I'm away. And he was telling me all about the fact that the Harrier hawks have been busy raiding the mud cracks of the dried dams and picking out frogs and other things that they can find there. Oh, they're just the most fascinating birds of prey. That's one of the reasons why they definitely fall in my top 5 favourites. They're always doing something fascinating. In this case, flying, which, you know, aerodynamically is also fascinating. And I got so distracted I missed my chance on the Game Drive channel. How devastating. Beautifully done. Well done, Gendre. You can just hear immediately the responses of the birds and the squirrels. They've got such sharp eyes, and they're constantly looking for threats like that. And they started alarm calling. And this ewe has just decided to head across to where the water is pumped. Oh, or not. Or, you know, she's going to go... Oh, there we go. She's got the runoff. That's what she's after. One of the few remaining water sources for our poor, pressured animals in this dry season. Sorry everybody, I'm just trying to wait for my opportunity to jump on board this lion sighting. No, still chatting. We'll get there eventually. Okay, let's go. Let's make our way in that direction. Excuse me. Thank you very much. I may or may not have had a slight cold while I was away. I am very much on the mend though. Just been left with the residual hacking cough. There's been something horrible going around throughout South Africa. I'm relatively certain I caught this from my mum while I was on leave, but I know that James had it, I know Lou had it, Kirsty had it a couple of months ago, and Brent also has had it. So there's some horrible virus going around, and Jean-Andre was also ill for the duration of his leave. So there we go, end of winter in South Africa. Apparently it's just the time for the viruses. Our stations, I'm also going to be making my way towards the area of the Impala, but no rush, just let me know when you're done. There we go, I managed to get a chance to talk. Oh, no problem, Tax, you're welcome to go in. Where are you now? Okay, copy. I'm coming up towards Central now, so if you don't mind, I will just go in ahead. That's alright. Copy that, thank you. Right, I'm going to have my daily dose of vitamin C, which Jean-Andre has very kindly provided. Oh my goodness. I'm in demand this afternoon. Everyone wants to talk to me. Copy, incomo genene. Herbert's just telling me how to get into the sighting, which apparently is a tricky experience. Bethany, on the subject of our drought and of course the big rain, you have a lovely question on estrus cycles, and I'm going to get to that in 1 second. Just bear with me. Negative, but I do believe Steph checked Buffelshoek Dam. Oh goodness. Oh goodness gracious, I'm sorry Bethany. There we go. Okay, so Bethany's question is, would the drought affect the estrus cycles of the various animals? Would it shorten it? Would it lengthen it? What exactly would happen? And it's a very good question, because yes, I think that it absolutely would have an effect on their reproduction, but not necessarily their estrus cycles. So I think that if all of the impala, for example, the female impala will have gone into estrus as they usually do around that time of year. I think we're going to see a significant drop in the numbers of antelope calves and lambs that we see this year. Hello Kudu, aren't you lovely? What a lovely surprise. You're beautiful. So this last impala birthing season we had far fewer lambs than we might otherwise have experienced. So usually an impala's breeding rate, around 90% of the females have babies. This year it was probably, if I had to guess, this is not an official figure, but if I had to guess, oh, look at that. He's found a bone. Sorry, Bethany. We'll be able to fully answer your question in a moment, but just have a look at this. A little bit of osteophagy in practice. Chewing on old bones to supplement its calcium intake. And in this case, it looks like the vertebra, probably of a buffalo, quite possibly of an old buffalo kill from one of the lions. that's been sort of scattered by the hyena activity. And munch, munch, munch away, getting those essential minerals. They can't, of course, pop down to the pharmacy, as I have done recently, and purchase their supplements. And so things like salt licks, geophagy, eating dirt, and then eating bones also helps to sort of help out with their mineral intake. In that case, of course, it would be calcium and phosphorus that they're after. Oh, cute! Look at the little one behind the male. He's got the tiniest little horns. I swear I see horns. No, I do see horns. Oh, cute. There's something about young male antelope that I find extraordinary. It's that gangly, sort of half put together look that they've got going on. You know, he's fluffy. He's not quite sort of fluffy enough to be a big male. And his neck hasn't really thickened. They're gangly and adolescent. And slightly sort of punk rockerish, with his crest of mane along his shoulders. Gorgeous little boy. And Bethany, it sort of brings us back to your question, because I think that you'll find not just the impala, but all of the antelope species will have a lower level or a lower success rate of fertilization. So not necessarily their estrus cycles, but a lower success rate of fertilization, and most definitely a drop in the number of females that carry their offspring to full term. And that's just because the females' bodies can't meet their nutritional requirements. Who's there, little antelope? Is that Herbert? Herbert keeping a close watch, giving us his extraordinary smile. I have to tell you, there's nobody in the world that has a smile like Herbert. Isn't he wonderful? He is, of course, to thank for our lion sighting. Let's go, guys. Lovely Kudu, but let us go and get to those lions before we lose our spot, which would be most tragic. And of course, because the cubs could well be there, we have a limited time that we can spend with them before it starts to get dark, and it's time for us to ship off and to ship out and to move off. Let's just have a quick chat with Herbert. Hello, Herbert. Oh, you did it again.
Yeah.
You see? Thank you, man.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Hi,
It's good to be back.
Hi, everyone.
Here we go. So everybody's saying a big well done for finding those lions for us.
Oh,
We're going to go in now.
okay. And your best approach should be from Hyena Road. That drop a good worry bush in the...
Of course, it's Hyena Road.
Yeah.
Naturally. Thanks, Herbert. Well done.
Yeah,
Okay.
enjoy, Jamie.
Sharp. Thank you very much. Cheers. I have to tell you, nothing brightens one's day quite like Herbert's smile. He really does have the most extraordinary smile. And personality, of course. I have to tell you something. All of you saying a big hello to Herbert, I'll pass that on. I have to tell you something. I think Brent's been wearing my hat. I've been trying to work out, because of course I left it here. I've been trying to work out why it keeps trying to climb down the center of my face. And it's because Brent's been wearing it. He's obviously loosened it. You know, he's got about 50 pairs of hats. Oh, not pairs of hats. Hats don't come in pairs. He's got about 50 hats. Thank you. William says that Herbert's smile is as sweet as sherbet. Sherbet, Herbert, Herbert, sherbet. Sherbet, Herbert. Agreed. He has the most extraordinary personality. I really do enjoy him.